Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
What I was talking about, which that falls in it, that counts. People don't like to say it counts, but uh, the gentleman that was killed by the police officer in Minnesota, we had that situation, and we had the situation with I believe the U.S. Army official. He was pepper sprayed and reprimanded, and I don't remember the state that this happened. But see, this once again goes back to what I talked about many episodes ago. I'm not for sure if it was with you or with somebody else. But I just find it interesting, man, and I try to be open-minded. How there's like almost nothing, and then all of a sudden there's a whole lot of things happening back and forth, like back to back to back to back. I know, and I don't want to give people the wrong impression of hearing me say that I don't believe that these things are real, because I do. I see them. I see that it's happening, and it infuriates me. But Hassan, when I see this stuff, man, I just be like, it just almost seems contrived, man, because all of a sudden Derek Chauvin, or however you pronounce his name, the guy who killed George Floyd, the week, or I think the day of his trial, you had the situation where the 20-year-old kid was killed down the street.
Right.
What are the chances of that?
It's psyop. For me, I see it as psyop, something to keep us used to seeing that type of behavior. I don't watch a lot of it. I hear about it, of course. You cannot not hear about it. But to follow it and to continue to try and watch the footage of somebody that looked like me getting slain, you can't watch that.
You don't watch it even to make your own opinions?
No.
So what happens whenever they start reporting this stuff? You just hear what other people are saying and just take it?
I hear about it, and I mean, not to sound arrogant, I'm knowing the people that even have an opinion about it, they don't even know a remedy to get out of that type of situation. I think you and I talked the first time I was here, and I was saying how we need to navigate as so-called black men in America when it comes to a police officer. Of course, now they're saying you can't hang air freshener in your window, you cannot do nothing, but you'll meet the same end.
Well, you can't do that?
I think that was the issue with the boy that got killed, the 20-year-old.
Okay.
In Minnesota, there was an air freshener in his car that he got pulled over for. That, or he had an expired tag. One of those stories, that was the reason why they got pulled over. There was an air freshener hanging in the rearview mirror. That's crazy. I don't know which story that was. If y'all,
I know what you talk. I didn't hear all of the details of that. That's right, but
that's a small thing to stop somebody from.
Right. What the first thing I heard was that it was his tags, and he had a warrant. Once they stopped him, they realized he had a warrant out for his arrest, for like a failure to appear in court or something because of a firearm or something he had on him at one point in time. Did you have something you want to say?
I mean, I didn't want to comment on that case in particular because I mean it's recent. And I like he said with him, I don't keep up with every single thing, man, because it's
a lot.
Even though it's like, okay, in this particular instance, it's a black person getting killed. It's just so much to try and keep up with all of this stuff all the time. And then when you watch it, it's always someone saying like, oh, this person's correct or this person's wrong. No one's trying to really find out what's going on. And I believe police brutality is a huge issue in the United States. I do 100%. And I think we could agree, and most people would agree, that there is a huge problem. But I don't think the narrative that gets put out with the police being racist and the incidences between like white officers and black people, in my opinion, I don't think it's really systemic racism. I don't think it's always racially motivated. My personal belief about like the job of a police officer, y'all ever heard of like the Stanford Prison Experiment?
I believe
absolutely. Where they took these students, and some of the students were made to be prisoners, and some had to be guards.
It's about authority, and there's something in the human brain, like psychologically. Just look in history, like how we came up through society before we had democracy. You know, we had monarchies, and people wanted control. Like when you give someone authority, from the police officer on your street to the manager at the McDonald's. How many people have terrible stories about managers that they have thinking they can overstep certain boundaries? We as human beings, I believe, have a terrible time handling authority and wielding it, regardless of who we are, and or race or religion, whatever. I think we all have trouble wielding that, and I think being a police officer, if you look at it, law enforcement. We're a republic. You know, we're supposed to be guided by laws or governed by laws, and they are the people on the front line that are supposed to stand up and essentially enforce it, make sure it's happening, and then arrest people that are doing the wrong thing. And I think with the racial narrative, it's divisive. Because obviously, maybe some of them are. I think some of them may be. Who knows?
I know
But
that
it's
some
so
of them
hard
are.
to tell. And I just think that pushing the racial narrative, and I do think that the media, mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, all that stuff, I think they kind of know what they're doing. They're stirring the pot because we're so busy arguing over, like, well, is it because of racism? We forget that Hispanic people are killed by the police, white people are killed by the police. Granted, black people are at a higher rate. Now, some people would argue that like black men are more likely to commit crimes. But personally, I think all of that, okay, we can have that conversation, but the point is, I think it's like over 1,000 people in the United States, black, white, everyone, are killed by the police every year. And that's been it's been like kind of stagnant for that, like at that level. It just kind of, it's not going up, it's not going down, but it stays pretty consistent. And it just seems to me that, like, using, when the media puts out all the narrative, this narrative with the racial stuff, you're only getting, I think last year, and this is terrible, this is not good. I don't say the numbers in any way to diminish anything, but like 200 and, it was under 300, but like 260 something black people were killed by the police last year in the United States. And in that same time period, it was like 500, almost 600 white people. But it's not to say that it diminishes anything. What I'm saying is, it's really, 800 or 900 people killed by that's how we should be looking at it, in my opinion.
In total.
It should be the police. I think we need them. I think it's clear. If you do studies where police are taken out of areas, I think the areas that get hurt the most are the inner cities, where a lot of crime is happening. And it's just so funny that politicians that have private security, that they're not gonna be in any danger at all. They're saying get rid of police in some areas. And I'm like, that you're ultimately going to hurt the people that you say you care about, that you say you're trying to benefit. And it's kind of a no-brainer. And I think it's because we're so attached to the racial narrative. Now, it could be perfectly valid. I could be completely wrong. But it just seems to me like this racial narrative is getting us nowhere closer to solving the real problem of police brutality. Because it's not just the people that die. How many times have you heard about someone being harassed in just any sort of interaction with the police officer? It doesn't have to be physical, but making you feel uncomfortable. That happens to so many people, it's insane. So, and that's, white, black, or otherwise. And to me, that's the problem. We need to be looking at, like, human psychology and how we can handle authority better. Or maybe, do we need to have more psychological assessments on police officers? Does it need to be elevated? And this may be counterintuitive to some people's argument, because some people want to abolish the police. I don't think that's a very popular opinion. I think that one gets pushed up more than it probably is represented by people. Because I think most surveys, when you survey anywhere from the inner city to the country, people are like, yeah, police, we need to have something to keep criminals at bay. Because, if you're not scared to get locked up, well, you're going to go commit a crime. Because a lot of people they commit crimes out of opportunity. Not necessarily they're evil, just nasty people. They see a chance to come up real quick. Nobody's looking. And they, steal something or rob somebody. It can happen that quickly. Or they go into someone's house at B&E. It can happen that fast. It's crime of opportunity. So if they're not worried about being arrested, or if you lax the laws on, like, well, catch and release, they might go commit another crime. So I think police brutality is a problem. But I think we're focusing on the wrong thing.